John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He's popular and proficient in picking politics with prophetic precision. And now J. Fred's picking sports. Are y'all ready for this? All across the airwaves and streams of the John Fredericks Media Network, John, Jack, and Nate, three guys that are pretty wise when it comes to picking winners. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, UFC battles, you name it. When the game is on your mind and money's on the line, Godzilla Wins is your guide to picking winners. Before you make that play, hear what J. Fred has to say. Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Oh yeah, for entertainment purposes only.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Godzilla Wins. This is episode 119 and it is a special episode indeed because it is our first full NFL action show in a year. So, we got NFL action all in the second hour of the show. We'll be talking about my futures. We'll be breaking down all the games. In this first hour, we're going to be discussing the two games that we had before the show, Eagles, Packers, Ravens, Chiefs. We got a whole bunch of college games on tap to talk about. I'll be joined by, as always, the Godzilla of Truth, John Fredericks. I will be joined by Jack Fredericks, editor extraordinaire of GodzillaWins.com, Dan Angel, writer extraordinaire of GodzillaWins.com. Good to see you, Dan. And I think we're going to be joined by, there he is, Peter Kreibel. Peter's a sophomore at University of Virginia studying sports. He's new to the show, but he's been contributing to the website for a while. He covers Virginia football for the Cavalier Daily, school student newspaper, and creates football content on his TikTok, which has 70,000 followers. Pete Takes, where he does some football content on there. Peter, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And Kreibel. Sorry.
Kreibel. All right. Yes, Kreibel. Thank you. All right, just a disclaimer, guys. Just so everyone knows, this is for entertainment purposes only. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, New Hampshire, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org. If you live in Massachusetts, call 877-GHOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. If you live in New York, please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700. If you live in Kansas or New Hampshire, 888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org. If you live in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or visit opgr.org if you live in Oregon. All right. Welcome to the show, everyone. So the big game, I guess there's been two big games. On Thursday night, we had Ravens Chiefs. It was a dramatic game, as always. It seems like we get in the NFL. Either they're dramatically good, dramatically bad, or just dramatic in general. I guess I'll just start with John here because I know he was watching the Ravens game. We talked about it a little bit in our teaser yesterday when we were teasing the show on your show. John, what were your takeaways from the first game of the season, Ravens Chiefs? You are muted. All right, well, John gets unmuted. Let's talk to Jack.
Why don't we talk to Peter? He's the Ravens.
Peter. Oh my gosh, yeah. Let's talk to Peter.
Dramatic. I don't think that cuts it. I think it's more along the lines of Shakespearean tragedy. Losing on the last play of the game by a quarter of an inch because Isaiah likely couldn't tap the second foot is fitting. I mean, last year it's Zay Flowers reaching over the goal line. This team tests my strength every single year because they are innovators of loss. They find new ways to win every single week. It rips my heart out since I was a boy. I don't know what to say.
I mean, it felt like you pretty much got the most out of what you can expect from Lamar Jackson. I mean, the guy played his tail off. He threw for over 200 yards, ran for over 100. you got pretty much an MVP performance from him outside of the red zone, anyways, and still it wasn't enough to overcome the Chiefs. Does that worry you sort of moving forward, in, in the season, thinking about a potential playoff rematch?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern is just the reliance on backyard ball from Lamar. You had no running game, and they couldn't even run anything deep developing in the first half. Everything had to be quick because you're protecting these new players along the inside of the offensive line who were real liabilities. I didn't look at that game and say, oh, Derrick Henry can't play anymore, or, oh, the receivers can't separate. I looked at it and said, Chris Jones is whooping the crap out of Voorhees and Faalele. So I have lots of concerns about the guard play more than anything. Maybe it'll gel, but it was a bad first go for the boys up front.
Dan, were you watching the game? What were you kind of taking away from our first NFL action of the season?
I mean, I just saw the final couple minutes, and I mean, from what I saw, like the Ravens did some nice things down the stretch, but I mean, Kansas City is just the better team, and it looked like Jackson just wasn't ready to take the opportunities when the game was on the line at the end. I mean, we're talking about the play where Likely gets some 1 foot down and just misses on the other foot, but there was a play before that where Jackson just totally missed the open wide receiver. I believe it was Zay Flowers, and if he hits that pass, we're not even talking about this play. So, I mean, as with most games, there's one big play that everyone remembers, but there were 5 or 10 other plays where if it goes the other way, it's a completely different outcome.
John, you get your mic fixed?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I started the season 0-2. I had 2 losers, both by 2 seconds. I told Nate on Friday, I took, Baltimore +3. So they got the touchdown. Now, I got to get up at 4 in the morning. It's like midnight. I got to get to bed. So they get the touchdown. Ref puts his hands up. I'm like, okay. Then it looks like what's his name is going for 2 or whatever. So I'm like, okay, worst case, I get a push, probably win. I'm going to bed. I'm brushing my teeth. My wife comes in and said, you lost your bet, dude. And I'm like, what did the guy do? Return the kickoff or something? No, they ruled it out. And then I got up. I said, what the hell's going to see the play? It's like this much. It's like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, look, I thought Derrick Henry was okay. I think maybe this is his final season, maybe, but they just can't beat this team. I don't know what the hell goes on. They can't beat Kansas City. I mean, I thought they played a pretty good game, Peter, and they had their opportunities. But again, Mahomes is in trouble. He gets out of it. I mean, it's just, I don't know how you beat this team. It's just annoying. And then yesterday, take the knee and run the clock out, right? I got a push. Take the knee, the clock runs out. No, he calls a timeout, and he kicks a field goal so they can cover. So I lost my first 2 games in a second and a half. So that's how I started this season. So I got to get on a roll. So I'm just pissed off at the whole thing.
Time to get on a roll. Jack, were you watching the game?
I mean, I'm 0-2 as well. I kind of thought the Packers would perform a little better, and I really missed some stuff. We'll talk about that game in a minute. I missed some early game analysis that impacted some live betting before I went out into downtown Phoenix. But as far as the Ravens go, Peter, I want to, since we have you here, and you're pretty good with some of the I guess play-by-play breakdown. I just want to talk about the last 3 plays. I know we everybody wants to talk about the last play with Likely's foot stepping out, and you're right. I mean, the Ravens do seem to invent new ways to really just put their fan base through proverbial hell. But the 2 plays before that, here's my 2 questions. So you get the big big completion down the sideline, right? And I'm wondering, I mean, I sort of understand why Lamar and Harbaugh don't spike the ball there and just run a play. The Chiefs defense is kind of gassed. They can't make an adjustment, sure. But to me, it felt like maybe we want to talk about that, especially considering Lamar's penchant for, as you say, backyard ball. And then, so I kind of want to get your thoughts on why they didn't spike it there. If that's something you see from them a lot going down the stretch in the 2-minute drill like that. And then the second question is the missed, the wide open Zay Flowers. I mean, Lamar misses people, but he was wide open. And I don't know, maybe Flowers was in the wrong place. So I'm kind of wondering just those two plays, because if either of those plays goes a different way, if they spike the ball, maybe they can talk about it a little bit more and make sure everybody's on the same page and get that touchdown. And then, of course, the wide open Flowers was like, that was egregious. I mean, I thought that was a touchdown for sure. As soon as he fires, I can see him open in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, so first about clock management, they didn't run out of plays, they ran out of time. So if you get up and spike that ball, maybe it would have been better suited. But as far as clock management as well, it's like John Harbaugh, as good a leader of men as he is, this is a pattern where you run out of timeouts. Some frivolous timeouts taken. We were out of timeouts, or at least had taken one timeout pretty quickly into the second half. And then, the miss to Flowers, I think that must have been a miscommunication. Lamar said it wasn't even intended for Flowers. He said it was for Bateman. I watched it back, and I mean, if that was for Bateman, there's a miscommunication to him, and then as well as Flowers, because there was no way that was a pass intended for Flowers. Lamar doesn't miss quite like that. It could have been a situation where in zone, Zay's supposed to sit, in man, he's supposed to run that thing across the end line. Hard to say, but guess what? The Chiefs played their starters in the preseason, and they didn't have any miscommunications like that. The Ravens didn't. Lamar decided to take his first snap, or maybe the coaches were on that decision as well, in Arrowhead. And so, you're going to have to work out some kinks naturally as the season goes on. And, I mean, that's a tough place to start.
Yeah, definitely. We have another game to talk about. We had the first Friday game. I sort of liked the Packers here. I thought the Packers were maybe a little bit of a better team. I thought the Eagles would look a little bit more like a work in progress. And I couldn't have been, I guess, more sort of wrong about the Eagles looked like they kind of knew what they were doing, especially on offense with Saquon Barkley. And Green Bay looked a lot like kind of just a sloppy work in progress team. The defense was kind of leaky. They had some weird penalties in the red zone, a couple big holding penalties. The Packers just didn't really look as ready for the moment as I thought they would be, given how they kind of closed out last season. And now, it looks like Jordan Love is going to be out for a little while. He was helped off the field kind of at the end of the game. There were some turf condition issues, which is pretty typical when the NFL goes other places. I guess, Jack, do we feel differently about Green Bay? I was pretty high on Green Bay and kind of, not really sold on Philly. How do we feel after watching this game? I mean, it's just one game, but are we overreacting?
I feel so stupid after that game for so many reasons. One, I just drank all the Nick Sirianni blows Kool-Aid, which maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but all that sort of off-season stuff where it's Sirianni's on the hot seat, Jalen Hurts isn't so good anymore, the Eagles are a disaster. That didn't seem to really be an issue. I hammered the under after about maybe 4 minutes into the game because everybody was slipping around and I thought nobody's going to score. And then they ended up scoring 1,000 points. So I also felt like an idiot for that one. Good job, Jack. I don't feel necessarily awful about the Packers unless the Jordan Love news is something to be concerned about. I'm not I don't have any confidence in Malik Willis to lead the Packers to really any type of scenario where they even have a chance to cover or win a game in the last play. I think I'm more impressed with the Eagles considering Jalen Hurts throws a pick on the first drive, fumbles on the second drive. They got 2 turnovers, and I feel pretty I like the fact that they were able to turn that around. And I mean, he's such a good quarterback in that way where when things are going south for him, he can just kind of center himself, calm himself down, and get back on track. That was really impressive for me as far as the Eagles went. And then on the Packers side, when those two, not being able to capitalize on a touchdown, I think in those 2 turnovers, I believe both of them were field goals. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know the first one was. I think both were. You know, you get 2 major turnovers in Brazil, like a new beginning of the season, and you can't get in the end zone. You're on like the 20-yard line for the first one, maybe the 30 or the 40 for the second one. I know the Eagles have a good defense. I understand that. They always have. But you got to get in the end zone. And 1 touchdown instead of 1 field goal in that scenario. And I mean, they lost by like 5. So they're at least in a position where they can throw the ball down the field at the end and kick a field goal. So I was really kind of disappointed with the Packers more than I was surprised by the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles are, maybe we're just, I was just being stupid. Like, the Eagles are good. You know what I mean? They've always been good. So I don't really discount them anymore. And I think they're going to be pretty strong this season in the NFC East.
Peter, I mean, Jalen Hurts did not play a good game, and there's been so much pressure on him sort of, in the last couple of seasons to really be the sort of generator of offense in Philly. And now it seems like Saquon's perfectly willing and able to sort of take a lot of the pressure off Jalen Hurts, and he doesn't have to have incredible games for them to win. I mean, Jalen Hurts, threw a couple of interceptions, lost a fumble. He didn't have his best sort of game, and still they were able to win. So you got to be excited if you're a Philly fan, right?
Yeah, and I looked at that game, and I'd agree it wasn't Jalen Hurts' best, but I don't think it was his worst either. I mean, a miscommunication on the snap. If you want to count the fumble on the tush push as well, interception, hell of a play by Reed Blankenship. But at the end of the game, Jalen Hurts was really good throwing the football, didn't lose control of the football, and had a couple of big runs going out and running dudes over and using that strength and extending drives, especially the last one to kind of put the Packers away. I think Saquon complements this team well. He has more bursts than, maybe it was just running behind a bad line in New York, but he looked really good to me, ripping off the big runs. And yeah, I would say to this game, I don't think there has to be an overreaction. I don't think we have to be out on one of these teams, barring a Jordan Love injury that might sideline him for the entirety of the season. Because they're both 2 good teams, arguably, division winner level. I mean, the Packers is going to be a little bit tougher, but yeah, it's like a good litmus test for the NFC. But I don't overreact and say, oh, the Packers aren't going to be good or the Eagles aren't going to be good. These are 2 very talented rosters. As far as the biggest disappointment for the Packers, some of the buy-in was you get rid of Joe Barry on defense at coordinator. This guy, Jeff Hafley, comes in, but it looked like the same Packers defense. Now, some of that could have been the slick field conditions. A lot goes into that, but yeah, I'm not going to overreact. I'm just going to be checking on Jordan Love's status.
Yeah, Jordan Love is obviously the big sort of question mark for this team. If you want to make some money, you could start by fading me, Jack, and John, whatever we say, given how the NFL season is going, and you can do that on DraftKings. John, tell everybody about DraftKings.
Well, listen, we get off to a tough start here. I did, but baseball, I'm hot as pepper. I won another 4 games last night. I think I ran the table last night again. I'm up like $8,000 in baseball. So that's making up for it. That's my sport. I've always won that. But those 2 games last night, the one after the other to lose in the final seconds, things turn around. But just before I get to DraftKings on this Packer game, I knew I was going to lose the bet when it was 6-0 because you get 2 turnovers on the first 2 plays inside the red zone and you get 2 field goals, you're going to lose the game. This is against 2 evenly matched teams. This is the way it is. I tell you the other thing. I don't think the Jordan Love performance last night, he was okay, but certainly not the hype of 4-year contract, $220 million. So I don't know. I was just not impressed by the Packers defense. Where the hell were they last night? This is a game Green Bay, Philadelphia handed them this game and they handed it to them back. And so now they're 0-1. And now they got Malik Willis, who the Titans cut because he's not a pro quarterback. Guy maybe should be a wide receiver. He's not a quarterback, and now he's quarterbacking this team. They're in big trouble. But we got college football, we got pro football, we got all this coming up. NFL week 1, it's got all these games on Sunday. They're right here. Now, if you're ready to place your first bet, try betting on something simple like a player to score a touchdown, right? You can do that. My son Jack and Nate, they bet these props all the times. You can just go to DraftKings.com, download their free app, and here's what's going to happen. You're going to score big because the number one place to bet touchdowns is DraftKings. Right now, if you sign up for DraftKings, and it's free, just got to go to DraftKings.com, download their app. You can put it on your phone, your computer, whatever you want. All you got to do is bet $5, put in promo code Godzilla, and you're going to get $250 in bonus bets. Let me just say this again. $5, you got $5. I know that. You put in $5, you're going to instantly, poof, get $250 in bonus bets when you bet 5 months. Plus, you get 1 month of NFL premium on DraftKings. So you're going to make money right off the bat. This is probably the best thing now. If you got a gambling problem, you got to call 1-800-1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-877 HOPE New York, or text HOPE New York, and you're good there. You got to be 21 or older, and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. This is void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario, Canada. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, go to dkng.co. That's dkng.co/FTBall. NFL Plus premium offer available only to new and former NFL subscribers. Additional NFL Plus premium terms at NFL.com/terms. Bottom line, download the app, put in $5. You're going to get $250 of free bets. You got to utilize it, though, within 160 hours, and you're good to go. Put in promo code Godzilla to get this. You just can't put it in, it doesn't show up. Got to put in promo code Godzilla. Do it now. $5 get you $250 right now.
All right, so Nate is having a little bit of technical issues. So he'll be right back. I know that's going to be pretty quick here, but we're going to move on to a couple different things. Peter, I want to bring you and Dan into the conversation here because we're going to move on to some college football. Got a huge college football slate coming up here, but a lot of, like it's not like a ton of big games, I guess, but I do want to start with some of the Virginia games, especially Virginia Wake Forest, which I think is really interesting. I believe Virginia is a 1.5 point underdog. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's kind of where the spread is right now. Peter, we'll start with you since you. Okay, 1, yeah. So about there, I know it's like at 2, 1. Here we go, kind of right around there. Peter, I know that you're in Virginia. You go to Virginia, you cover them a lot. Are you concerned at all about this game? I mean, they looked pretty good. Virginia did against Richmond last week, but the defense maybe a little bit of a concern here. How do you feel about this game against Wake Forest? Pretty big game for the Cavaliers.
Well, I will be concerned about this team until they give me a reason not to be. I mean, I love what they did against Richmond, looked really strong, but under Tony Elliott and even dating further back, it's just not been a good football team. And I think it has the potential makings of one, but they have to go out and prove it. Wake Forest, ACC matchup. This is a big one. Last week against the Spiders, there was a lot to like. Ran the ball well, just super balanced in general, explosive in the passing game, even when Anthony Calandri didn't have to push the ball downfield. So am I concerned? Absolutely. But I think there's also a reason to be excited.
Dan, what do you think here about the Virginia Wake Forest situation? I mean, I know I said big game against Richmond, but I'm not exactly sure the Spiders are a great litmus test for ACC play. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I don't want to throw too much shade at Richmond. Dan, what do you think?
I mean, the Spiders are usually a pretty good FCS team. Like, they have actually beaten on the likes of Virginia and Duke in past years, so they're not bad. But yeah, that's a game that Virginia should win most of the time. The thing I'm looking for here is defense. I mean, this matchup, Virginia, I don't think is top 21 points in any of their past 6 against Wake Forest. Granted, they didn't play all that often because they were in different divisions, but it's still something to watch out for. And I think that Virginia's offense wasn't that impressive by comparison because, again, they were facing an FCS school. Wake Forest, kind of the same thing against North Carolina A&T. And the one thing that should give the Cavaliers some hope is this is a series where the underdog often wins. I believe in their past 9 meetings, the underdog has won the game straight up 8 times. So, unfortunately for Virginia, Wake Forest has been the underdog most of those games because the Deacons have won 6 in a row in this series.
So maybe it's not the underdog. Maybe it's just Wake Forest.
It's very possible. It's very possible. But yeah, I'm leaning under. I think 55.5 is too many points for how these teams tend to play each other.
All right, John, do you got a pick for this game?
No
pick. All right.
No pick.
Well, let's keep it in Virginia. We got ECU taking on Old Dominion. Let me pull up the lines here for that game. What I guess we'll just lead with Peter. We're still talking Virginia football. We're close by, I guess. What do you see for this Old Dominion Eastern Carolina game? It looks like Eastern Carolina's a 1.5 point dog. Totals at 54. What are we expecting out of these teams?
I'll tell you what, purple and gold, that's a good combination. Give me the Pirates winning this one. I hate to go against the Virginia team, but Keaton Mitchell hailing from there as well. I just think ECU, coming off a win as well, is the team to go with.
Dan, what are your thoughts for this game? Another sort of line game.
East Carolina's coming off a win, Folk State, whereas Old Dominion really put a scare into South Carolina last week, and I believe that was in Columbia. So I think I got to go with the Monarchs here. Old Dominion is traditionally a team that plays tougher at home, and if the Monarchs can clean up the mistakes that they made in that game, they fumbled twice inside the 10-yard line against South Carolina. If they hold on to the ball in both of those situations, they beat an SEC team. So if they can handle playing an SEC team on the road and be in position where they could have won that game, they can absolutely beat East Carolina at home. So I think Old Dominion covers the spread.
All right. We got one more Virginia game.
Wait, what about me?
John. Oh, John's got a pick for this game. I was just going to skip by you here.
I got a pick too. I just don't like the Virginia game. We carry Cavalier football on AM 1650 WJFE. You can tune those in every day. It's also on their app. But I just don't have a pick in that game. But this is my best bet in college football of the week is Old Dominion. I love Old Dominion here. Look, first of all, Dan has nailed it. Number one, they're tough at home. Number two, they're always underrated. They have a better team than meets the eye. Number three, they don't fumble the ball. They beat South Carolina. They beat them. They played them very tough in South Carolina, which is a tough place to play. This is a savvy team that is way, way undervalued here. I can't believe I'm giving up only 1.5 points. I give up 5 or 6 in this game. East Carolina, are you kidding me? Who they beat? Norfolk State? Did they even have a football team? You got to be kidding me. And so they beat NC State at home. Wow, I'm excited. And even State, they didn't even look that good in that game. East Carolina Pirates this season, smoke and mirror. They're just not a good football team. That I can't believe this game's a buck. I'm only laying 1.5 points. I'm all over it. Best bet right here. Old Dominion minus 1.5. This is where I get even. I get even today.
Old Dominion's got the jinx on him now that John's on him. Jack, do you?
Yeah, couple thoughts here. Number one, I was talking to someone in Dad's company like a month ago or something, and they were complaining about Dad going off the rails on some live read. Dad, I didn't tell you this, but I don't know, just someone in the company being like, oh my God. But one thing that they told me, they were like, he's certainly enthusiastic, and we can always say that about him. Nobody can get fired up for ECU Old Dominion like John Fredericks. So there's that going for us, I guess. I like Old Dominion as well here.
Well, I raised you right.
Yeah, that's right. Look, I've got a -1.5, though that could be wrong. My spreads are always a little weird. I'm always using like 14 different apps to, try to find the edge, and then I end up losing anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I've got them -1.5. I like ODU here, mostly because, look, they look pretty good against South Carolina, and I don't know much about Norfolk State. I'm sure that they have a proud program up there, but as far as if we're just taking, apples to apples here, I'm going to take Old Dominion's pretty okay performance against the Gamecocks over ECU's dominant performance against Norfolk State. But I'm really dragging all these Virginia schools, Norfolk State, Richmond. I mean, they all have good football teams, I'm sure. One thing about Virginia, they have so many teams. I mean, there are so many Division I or FCS teams in Virginia. So always fun during basketball season as well. So I'm fired up for Old Dominion. I say ODU 1.5. But then again, I am 2-5 in the college football season and 0-2 in the NFL season. So it's not like I'm really catching fire anytime soon.
A lot of bulletin board material.
We're both going to turn it around this week.
One thing you are catching fire with is your health. Tell us about Healthy Cell, Jack.
Yeah, nobody on fire with their health quite like me.
You look great, though. You look fantastic.
Well, I'm on about 700 supplements, all sponsored by Godzilla Wins. So, if that's not helping, then I don't know what else to do here. Maybe I do need to drink some water at some point. I have been a little cognizant of my dehydration this morning, but that happens.
Coffee has water in it.
Yeah, I need to go get some coffee too. But listen, Healthy Cell, gotta love Healthy Cell. My favorite Healthy Cell product, I talk about it all the time, joint health and mobility. God, I love it. And that's because the joint pain that I feel on a daily basis is like astronomical. I don't know why that is. I don't do anything really to, like these days, I barely exercise at all. Maybe I go on a walk and then start huffing and puffing after 20 minutes. But the joint pain is real. I got all sorts of joint pain, tennis elbow, got it in my wrist, got some back stuff. And what I do to help with that joint pain, because the ibuprofen and the Advil, I mean, it does help, but it's just a Band-Aid. It's a couple hours of relief, and I need some sort of a long-term solution. I'm a long-term solution kind of guy. I like to find the value in the long term there, and that's why I like Healthy Cell. www.healthycell.com. www.healthycell.com. You put in the promo code Godzilla, just Godzilla, get you 20% off joint health and mobility, and you take it every day. It starts to kick in, and you'll feel better. Like I don't have tennis elbow anymore, or any sort of wrist issues, and I used to have a ton of that before I started taking this. So I really, really cannot recommend enough Healthy Cell's joint health and mobility. And we'll talk a little bit later about some of their REM sleep stuff as well. Dad, it'd be nice if you could turn your phone off so we can stop hearing your text messages come through. That would be terrific while I'm trying to do the Healthy Cell live read.
I thought it was my wife's phone. Gosh.
Maybe it is. I don't know. It's definitely not mine. www.healthycell.com. Put in the promo code Godzilla, little joint health mobility, 20% off. That's an incredible deal. I can't recommend it enough.
All right, that's Healthy Cell, and we got. So I'm gonna kind of move past the VT game for a second, just because I feel like we got to devote a little bit of time to sort of one of the more interesting games, at least from a preseason narrative perspective. Nebraska and Colorado. Colorado edged past North Dakota State in their opener. They looked about like they did last year, which was exciting, with many, many flaws. And Nebraska, everyone was saying they might be building something special. These are not words that I thought would come out of my mouth when Matt Rule was getting run out of Carolina in his NFL stint, but it seems like Matt Rule's actually kind of building something interesting in Nebraska. With Dylan Raiola looked great in his debut. I guess, Dan, like what do we expect from Colorado, Nebraska? Is this like two programs on the rise, or does Colorado just, everything ends in week 2 for Colorado?
I think it's one program on the rise, because this is what Matt Rule does. I mean, he's a college coach. He's not a pro coach. Like, right. He built the program from nothing at Temple. He took a mess at Baylor and built them into a winner, and didn't work at Carolina. Some guys are just better on the college level, and Matt Rule is clearly one of them. And, Jack just talked about how he's a long-term guy. That's exactly what Matt Rule is. I mean, last year when this matchup happened, Colorado won by 22, but I said after the fact that Nebraska had exposed Colorado in that game because the Huskers got to Shedeur Sanders 7 times for sacks, And if Nebraska had had anything resembling a college quarterback, the Huskers would have won that game because they had 4 turnovers that allowed Colorado to get its sea legs under them and take control of the game in the second half when Sanders did what he does. Now, Nebraska believes that they have that quarterback, and they're not going to get in their own way like they did last year in Boulder. And I think that Rule has set his team up for long-term success. Deion Sanders, still more flash than substance. And I think that the long-term approach that Nebraska has taken is going to win the day here. And I think the Huskers are going to win this game. But I don't think that they're going to cover the spread. I think that the books have faded Colorado just a bit too hard. So I went with Colorado in my pick, but I do think Nebraska is going to win the game.
All right, so we got Colorado spread, but Nebraska wins this one. Peter, what are your thoughts on 2 of these sort of interesting college teams?
Yeah, a lot of hype about Colorado. I watched the game, felt the exact same. And it's flashy, it's exciting. Uniforms look cool, but they cannot stop anyone. North Dakota State moved the ball all over them, through the air, on the ground. And listen, Raiola looked good, efficient, a couple touchdowns, one-handedly. I look at this and I just don't trust Deion's management of the game. Just some of the greediness, not taking some of the easy stuff. He could have ran the ball out, and they're taking shots. Kind of got bailed out by a penalty on the last play. Otherwise, North Dakota State would have had another opportunity. And does anyone think that Colorado was going to get a stop? I don't. So I think Matt Rule and a lot of teams that go up against Colorado are going to fight tooth and nail and just going to want to make that statement win. And they're going to play the game the right way. They're going to take what they can. They're not going to do too much. Colorado, I don't think any part of that program is about not doing too much. They press even when they shouldn't. And I just think that the Cornhuskers get the win.
Right. Yeah. I mean, swagger over substance, right? I mean, that's kind of the narrative around Colorado. John, you're no stranger to swagger over substance here. You got any thoughts on Neon Deion, what he's doing there?
I mean, I'm going to take the 6.5. I know they can't stop anybody, but either can Nebraska. I mean, all of a sudden, Matt Rule is like what, coach of the year? I mean, this guy's a fiasco. He was a fiasco in the pros. You can say, okay, well, he's a good college coach, like Lou Holtz. Then he gets to the Jets. He can't win a game, and he's like coming up with songs and rhymes, and the people in their locker room are like, who is this guy, right? So, I mean, maybe that's it. But here's what I know about Colorado. They're going to put points on the board. They're going to throw the football around the field. They're going to be running around. It's an exciting team to watch, and I'm getting 6.5. And it's not like you're playing Oregon where they're going to score 60. I mean, this is Nebraska football, right? 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Here's a team that the old deceased, bless his heart, Chuck Knox would love this team, right? They don't throw the football, just run the football. What did Chuck Knox say? When I throw the football, 3 things happen, 2 are bad. So I'm going to go with Deion Sanders. You know what? You guys, a lot of people, he's not the team can't stop anybody, this, that, whatever. He brings these kids in. They're fired up. I'm getting 6.5. I'm going with the Buffaloes.
Jack, where are you at with this? I mean,
so
I
glad
just can't see it. I mean, the Buffaloes just look so one-dimensional. I just have a hard time seeing it.
Yeah, I think I agree with Dad on the first 2 picks, so I'm really glad to be able to disagree with him here because I know at some point he's going to start following his heart instead of his head, and this is definitely a hard pick for him. I'm more interested in the fact that one, Matt Rule is not in the NFL anymore. He's been fine at Nebraska. He was good at Baylor. He's going to outcoach Deion. Dan mentioned this last week, how Deion kind of ran through the SWAC with all that talent that he had, but when he got to the Celebration Bowl both years, he got hosed. And now he's up against coaches who are, more experienced. Nothing against the SWAC. I mean, there's some great coaches there, but it's a different ball game up there in what are they in the Big 12 now?
Yeah, Colorado's in the
Big 12. Yeah, Big 12. So I definitely like. I think both Peter and Dan had this right. I think that I like Nebraska to cover, the 7 or 6.5, wherever the spread ends up settling. I definitely like
But
that.
I didn't take
for,
Nebraska to cover.
Oh, what'd you take, the over?
I took Nebraska to win, but Colorado to cover.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, Dan and I are on the same page. Dan and I are on the same page today on all the games. That means you're going to win them all. We're going to run the table.
Well,
Dan and I agree.
is that what that means, Dan?
Double down.
Yeah.
Double down with Dan and I agree.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't agree with Dan. I'm going to take Nebraska -7, and I'm definitely taking the over too because, as Peter said, pretty one-dimensional here. I guess the over depends. Yeah, I don't know about the tempo. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know much about Nebraska, so like maybe they play a little bit slower than I would like as far as those overplay go. But there's no defense on that Colorado side, and I think we can get to the 56 or 57 wherever that is. So give me Nebraska -7 and give me the over at 56 there, 57. I think both those make a lot of sense. Colorado, this is just what they're gonna do, and they're fun to talk about, but they don't win a lot of games. They're just not going to do that.
The thing about Colorado, though, is they don't win a lot of games, but they do cover a lot of games. Like last year, Colorado became betting gold once the sportsbooks figured out what was going on. And each week, the line was set just a little higher than it should have been because of the Dion effect. So I'm thinking that Nebraska wins this by 6.
All right. Jack, tell us a little bit about Native Path before we get to
Native Path, man. I was just going to talk about Native Path because I love them. I got to pull up my little live read because we got something a little different here. We're not going to go to the same thing, and it does take me a minute to get up that live read. So one thing that you have to do when you're trying to pull something up is you just keep talking on the radio so there's no dead air. Okay, I got it up. Look at that. So listen, real quick, I want to talk to you a little bit about Native Path. You've all heard my dad raving about how good my stepmom's been looking and feeling since she started taking the collagen powder from Native Path and the krill oil. Like many things, he will not shut up about it, and neither will I, because I started taking it too. One of the reasons I look so good these days, although I think I've always looked pretty good, but I look even better now. I'm feeling amazing. Dad's feeling amazing. So the whole family is on Native Path. I started with the krill oil. Got to start with the krill oil there. High quality omega-3 fatty acids in that krill oil really help support healthy inflammation levels, less pain and swelling. Can't go wrong with the krill oil. But now we got Native Path. Got a ton of wonderful products, and we got the collagen oil. It's their number one product, over 4 million jars sold. It is the top single ingredient collagen product on the market and is backed by science to support healthy bones, improve joint pain. Remember, I'm always talking about joint pain. Got to get that improvement of the joint pain. Boost skin elasticity. Don't know what that means, but I'm down for it. Minimize deep wrinkles, support healthy hair, and more. So what you're going to do is go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Just Godzilla this time. No Godzilla wins. GETNATIVEPATH.com/Godzilla. You just scroll and you'll get all sorts of offers. Dad, correct me if I'm wrong. If these offers still stand, 44% off, free shipping. You get the frother. I mean, these are deals that only the John Fredericks salesman that he is can get you. You can't get these deals anywhere else. Look, I mean, shout out to all the other great podcasters out there. We love Bill Simmons and all the other guys who do this type of work. But nobody gets you deals quite like John Fredericks, because he builds relationships. That's what he has with Native Path right now. He's got a great relationship, and that relationship means that you get your savings. We pass the savings on to you. Dad builds the relationship, and then you get the savings. So 44% off there, free shipping. You get the frother. I dreamed about the frother. Not even kidding. Last night I dreamed about it. I don't know why. I probably should unpack that. I don't know why I'm dreaming about a coffee frother, but I was dreaming about it. I use it every morning. Really terrific. So go ahead, getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Take you right to the landing page. You just click, you'll follow it, get all the great deals.
Frothers are cool, baby. Hey, I'm looking for deals. I'm looking for deals all the time. I got a deal. That's what all you got to do is go to getnativepath.com, getnativepath.com/Godzilla. No promo code. Just put in /Godzilla. You're good to go. Getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Best thing ever going to happen to you.
The rare double live read where,
I'm looking for deals.
The live read that's so nice we did it twice. Okay.
That rhymes.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to make a comment. I haven't seen Peter, I haven't seen you since you were 14 years old I think in Bath County at some hotel resort for some Republican meeting. And I ran into your mom and dad, and you were there with them, and you were 14. And I just got to tell this story, Nate, for a second. And I run into him, and I don't know who the Ravens were playing that weekend, but we started talking about football, and he told me he was a Ravens fan, and now he's like a freshman in high school. And so you look very old now, you look very mature and all that stuff, but he was like 14. And we started talking about Titans and football. And then he starts rattling off these stats about the Ravens. Like I'm sitting there for 5 minutes, and right off top of his head, he's just rattling them off. And why they were going to win this. I think they were playing Pittsburgh, why they were going to win, all this, that. And like my jaw dropped. I'm like, how do you know this stuff? And he's like, I'm just a diehard Ravens fan. So, and then I remember texting him. Remember when the Titans beat the Ravens, and maybe it was a semifinal game or something?
Of
I remember
course.
we were texting each other. But Peter, it's great to have you here. And what a difference when I saw you at 14. Now you're all big and grown up in college and all that stuff. So welcome to the show. Great.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much airtime I got, but it means a lot. I remember sitting there and talking about it, and then comes the writing opportunity, and it's what I'm studying now. So it was it means a lot, and I'm happy it was as impactful to you as it was to me.
Oh, good. Happy to have you with us. And Jack was thrilled, my son, to give you the opportunity. And now you've got a tremendous career ahead of you, and so we're just excited to have you with us. But so everybody knows, Peter started with us at 14 years old. He started writing about the Ravens at 14. So great to have you.
All right, we got to talk about a game that's near and dear to Jack's heart. It's a little bit of the old versus the new. A new love in the Arizona State Sun Devils and an old hatred with the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and they combine here for a game in Tempe. Mississippi State's a little underdog, plus 5.5 points, totals at 58.5. Little backstory is that Mississippi State handled their business against Eastern Kentucky. I don't think anyone was terribly surprised by that. They won 56-7. They looked decent at times on offense. Meanwhile, Arizona State really surprised some people as a 6.5-point favorite. They just went out and beat the hell out of Wyoming. 48-7, and kind of opened up some eyes for a team that I don't think a lot of people had really high expectations for coming into the season, particularly given how they played last season. Jack, I'll just give you the lead on this. I know that we want to talk about the Sun Devils. I know we're all feeling good. Fear the fork. What are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, listen, game tonight, huge game for the Arizona State Sun Devils, played at beautiful Mountain America Stadium. You can just envision it. It'll be cool-ish. It won't be that hot because it'll still be hot, but it'll be nighttime. You can see the mountains out in the distance there. It'll be just what a terrific game. Nobody hates Mississippi State quite like I do. Went to Ole Miss, just not my favorite team, I would say. So this might be a little bit of biased pick. I'm super annoyed that they followed me out here to Arizona. I finally got away from the Mississippi State Bulldogs, which, to be honest with you, was just one of the driving factors in leaving Mississippi. I can get away from everybody who cheers for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I can go as far away as possible. Now, all of a sudden, they are here at my doorstep. And Dan is going to have to agree with me on this because he knows my analysis is right here. Thanks for the turn off your texts, whoever that is.
Yeah, my God. Did you just put it closer to your microphone?
Yeah, oh my God. But listen, and Dan's going to agree with me here because he loves Arizona State too as well. I know he does. After that just shellacking against Wyoming. What a performance that really was. So I like Arizona State to cover. I think the spread is like -6.5 for Arizona. I'm going to take it. Play it up to 7. I mean, you could play up to 8 if you want. This is going to be such a embarrassment for the Bulldogs. They can't handle the heat out here. Renewed energy here at Arizona State. Also, the Bulldogs are 1-8-1 against the spread in their last 10 games as underdogs. But, that's with the SEC. So take that with a grain of salt. Also, sometimes I argue with ChatGPT over I ask them what their picks are, and then I just argue with them for a while, or him, or where. I don't know what it is. It's a robot, and they like Mississippi State too. So we were arguing about that. So I'm getting it from all angles, but I'm taking Arizona State -6.5.
Dan, speak reason to this conversation. Who do you like here? Do you like Arizona State too?
It's a tough one. I think Arizona State is going to win the game, but I think the cover might be a little much. I think the books have reacted a little too strongly to Arizona State's rout of Wyoming. Looking at my algorithm, and I have a rule that unless I have a really good reason not to, I don't go against the computer when it's telling me something, and it's telling me ASU by 3. So it might not have enough info on ASU yet because the Sun Devils were pretty weak last year, and it's still in the learning phase because it's only got 1 week of data for this year. But I don't know. I just think that this game is going to be a little bit closer than the books think. So I think that this is going to be Arizona State wins, but Mississippi State covers.
Okay, Mississippi State covers. So we're on 2 sides so far. Jack on ASU, Dan on Mississippi State. Peter, who are you liking in this game? You got an opinion here?
I'm not going to say it's a super nuanced opinion. Both teams going up against, I wouldn't say nobody's last week, but weaker opponents. Both teams ran the ball. Both teams balanced. I'm going to go chalk, and I'm going to say Arizona State.
Arizona State.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. 2-1 Arizona State now. John, you got a pick in the ASU game?
Yeah, I just don't like teams going out west, playing in Phoenix, 150-degree weather, whatever. How hot is it out there? What's 150? Could you fry an egg on the sidewalk or
kickoff?
Right now,
kickoff is supposed to be 92.
Yeah,
I mean, I get a text from my son the other day. He says, "I can't do past 9 o'clock or my computer will overheat." I'm like, "Where the hell are you? Like the equator?" He's like, "No, I'm in Phoenix. This is what happens here." I'm like, "It's September. What the hell are you talking about? Your computer's going to overheat." So I just, you know what? I don't know. Mississippi State, Mississippi State. I'm kind of with you. I can't stand them either. I can't stand the cowbells. I'm sick of them. Obviously, I'm an Ole Miss fan, but I'm just sick of them. So come out here playing 150-degree heat, whatever the hell you're doing. I'm going to go with ASU at home in this game.
All right, we got. Seems like a little bit of Sun Devil love, a little bit of Mississippi State love. Yeah, it'll be an interesting game. Jack, are you going to the game?
No. I mean, I guess I could. It never really crossed my mind to attend.
Sneak a little student ticket in there.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, I guess I don't want to see Mississippi State in person. I've seen them enough. I'll watch them on television. And it is a 92 degrees seems. What are they playing at midnight? So I don't. I don't. I mean,
8:30 local time.
Yeah, 8:30 can still be in the hundreds. I mean, that's like, So no, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I know it's not on the schedule, but can I give my I got 2 best bets in college football today. One we had on the schedule. That's the Monarchs. I got a second one. Can I give that? But it's not on the schedule.
Do it quickly, really, then tell us about Beard Vet quickly, and then we'll talk about.
No. Don't even worry about Beard Vet. We'll do that in the next hour. We only got 8 or 9 minutes with Peter here, so I'm sorry, Nate. I don't mean to usurp you here, but let's just do Texas, Michigan after Dad does the pick, and we'll do Beard Vet. We'll do Beard Vet later. We got time in that second hour.
All right, I got 2 best bets today. Monarchs, I already told you about that. Laying 1.5. My second best bet is Kentucky Wildcats. I'm going to lay 9 over South Carolina. This team should have got beat last week by Old Dominion. This is a lousy football team. I can't wait till if they play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's going to beat them. This team might not win a game. This is how bad they are. Kentucky on the rise. I just don't like the South Carolina team. When you look at Kentucky, I mean, this is an up and coming football organization that they've got going on there in Kentucky. So I think in Lexington at home, I'm going to lay the 9. I mean, USC just didn't look good last week. And like, what are they going to fix? Like, you struggled to beat the Monarchs, which is really not, it's not that good of a program. You struggled to beat them at home. Now you're going to Kentucky. Now you're going to Lexington against a team that's hitting on all cylinders. I just don't see it. My second best bet, Kentucky -9 over the Gamecocks.
All right. So we have the big game before we get to the NFL. This is about as close as you can get to professional football in college. We have number 3 ranked University of Texas Longhorns taking on number 10 ranked Michigan Wolverines. This is the big game today. I know it's the game that everyone's kind of thinking about, everyone's going to be watching probably. If you watch one game, it'll probably be this top 10 matchup. Texas is a 6.5-point favorite in this game, traveling to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Total is pretty low at 41.5. That looks pretty much like an NFL line. Dan, set the stage for us here. What should we expect out of this Texas-Michigan game?
I mean, the under is where it is for a reason, and it's because Michigan's offense looked pretty poor last week against Fresno State. I mean, the Wolverines everyone expected that they were going to take a step back given that they lost so much from their offense. They lost Harbaugh, so it's a totally different team than it was last year, but it's still really strong on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't expect a lot of points here. I think that Quinn Ewers is going to take his time, pick his spots, and above all, avoid Will Johnson. Because, I mean, Will Johnson is the difference maker on this Michigan defense. He had a pick six last week that basically put the game away. And I think that Texas is just going to try and stay away from him as much as possible and end up winning this game in a fairly low-scoring affair. I'm looking for something like 23-10 out of the Longhorns here.
23-10 Longhorns. We got an exact score prediction, too.
I was spitballing there, but I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game where Texas wins by around 10 to 14 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable. Peter, I'm sure you're probably going to be paying attention to this game. It's a big one. What do you think about this?
Yeah, Dan said it. Michigan picked clean by the NFL from coach down. I am surprised at that line, given that Texas is on the road. But when you consider, it's 52 degrees in Ann Arbor today. If you've ever seen Game of Thrones, Michigan is like the Starks in the north. You don't want to see them when it gets cold. And this isn't. It's too early in the season for that to be a huge factor. Texas, high flying. Texas is high flying. I mean, I just don't think – I like that Michigan defense. They've been good historically. I think they will be good. But I think for them to win, they're going to have to play phenomenally on defense and then efficiently on offense. You need more out of Donovan Edwards. Week one wasn't, we'll say, college football 25 cover worthy. So I think that Texas, coming off the crushing loss in the college football playoff, a team with a mission this year, I think that they get it done.
All right, we got a couple minutes here. John, tell us why Texas wins by 100.
I'm taking Michigan plus 6.5.
Wow.
And 100,000 people there. And Harbaugh's gone. Therefore, the team's going to fall apart. It's a freaking coach. Give me a break. These guys have spent all this NIL money. They've rebuilt their offensive line. I'm not even looking at the first game, right? They have to get things together. They got 100,000 people at home. Texas this, Texas that. When you hear all the hype about one team, go with the other team, right? So all we hear about Texas and Cherkasian and this and that and how great they are and how they're going to win everything and they got beat in the playoffs and blah, 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 blah. It's insufferable. The whole Texas Longhorn thing is insufferable. Michigan, I think they're going to upset them this whole game. I'm getting 6.5. Look, I told you a couple of weeks ago, you're sitting there, you're watching the game. Michigan gets a touchdown. All of a sudden, it's 10-0. Michigan, you're getting 6.5. You got a great defense. You're in the catbird seat, right? You're in the catbird seat. This defense is really good, so they're going to have to score on them. And I'm gonna go. I always go with defense over offense. That's what my father said, right?
All right.
Defense
So
Texas is coming off a shutout.
Yeah. I love the Wolverines at home. How many times are you going to get Michigan at home with points? Take it.
Probably
oh my God!
In the future.
Let me
Jack,
jump in here.
Yeah.
30 seconds because I know we're about to change.
Right,
We want to give Peter
time.
a chance to say goodbye. But Dad, you can't have it both ways. Like Matt Rule sucks, Nebraska sucks, Harbaugh leaves, coaching doesn't matter. Like you just make up your rules as you go. So let's just put that out there. I got the model I'm looking at. Texas on neutral ground -12. Texas really minus about 10. So I love the whatever Texas -8, -9, -7. I'll take that. And I love the under. I think Dan's right about that. I think both Dan and Peter said it's gonna be low scoring. So I like that as well. Okay.
All right, we are About to reset for the next hour. We're going to be hitting you with some NFL action. We want to thank Jack, John, Dan, and Peter, especially for joining us for the College Hour. Peter, it was great having you on for the first time on the show. Peter Kriebel, tell everyone where they can find you, Peter.
I'm on TikTok at Pete Takes. From there, there's a link tree to my writing for the student newspaper, the Cavalier Daily, covering Virginia football. And yeah, a little bit of YouTube here and there, but mostly follow that link tree for everything you need to know.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. And we will be right back at the top of the hour with NFL picks and discussion.
Listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Welcome back, everyone, to hour 2 of the Godzilla Wins Pick Show, episode 119. This is our first one where we got a full slate of Sunday games that we'll be getting into. We just finished our discussion on college football, so go back and check that out if you missed it on our Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. And now we're just ready to go. We're going to be welcoming Darian Kelly into the show shortly, but just a reminder for everybody that may just be tuning in now for the NFL picks. We are a gambling show, but this is for entertainment purposes only. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming, call 1-800-327-5050. Visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org. If you live in Massachusetts, 877-GHOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY. If you live in New York, please gamble responsibly and call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. If you live in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700. In Kansas or New Hampshire, 888-789-7777. Or visit ccpg.org. If you live in Connecticut, it's 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or visit opgr.org if you live in Oregon. Once again, this is entertainment purposes only. All right, so we were going to do a victory lap here, and we're waiting for John to get back on the show so we can really do it fully, because all of us had some pretty strong opinions on the Penn State-West Virginia game last week, and some of those strong opinions came to fruition. Some of them didn't. And while we get ready for that, I guess, Jack, can you just tell us? Well, here he is. All right. So let's start with DraftKings. John, tell us a little bit about our new sponsor, DraftKings, the NFL season. John, you there?
Okay, hold on.
Yes, I just got back. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I had to get
I
stepped out a minute.
Yeah, Dad, tell us about DraftKings.
Listen, you got to go to DraftKings right now. This is about the best thing you're going to be able to do. The deals they got on the table. Now, if you're not a DraftKings player, or you were a player and now you're not a player, right? You just don't do it anymore. Now's your opportunity to put in $5 with promo code Godzilla. Put in $5 and you're going to get $250 in bonus bets. Plus, you're going to get 1 month of NFL premium. This is like the best deal ever. There's a lot of other sports books out there. The best deal you're going to get is on DraftKings. Now, you can score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code Godzilla. Got to put that in. That's promo code Godzilla. For new customers, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Premium on us. This is only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Now, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER in New York, 877-8-HOPE-New York. In Connecticut, you can visit ccpg.org, ccpg.org. Now, on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, got to be 21 or over. Eligibility varies by jurisdiction. This is void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario, Canada. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, go to dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus premium offer available only to new and former NFL subscribers. Additional NFL Plus premium terms at nfl.com/terms. Key is $5, get you $250 with promo code Godzilla. DraftKings is the place to be. I'm on it right now. Put in my wages. I'm going to have a great week.
All right. Well, we didn't get to do our weekly obsession, and we should have, because it was a thing that a lot of us were obsessed over. Namely, I'm talking about West Virginia football. Who wants to lead their sort of victory tour? Dan, I'll let you lead off on the victory tour here.
Pass.
Why was West Virginia a terrible pick? Why does it look terrible in retrospect?
You guys take it. Pass.
I'll take it.
Dan doesn't even want it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Listen, I wish Mitch was here so we could really just rub salt in the wound there. But yeah, listen, Dad, you were wrong on that one. And you love to take a victory lap when you're right. So we're going to take a victory lap when we're right. Because we had to hear the end of it about Georgia Tech this, Georgia Tech that. Now, we finally hit on one thing, which was that West Virginia they can't. It's not that West Virginia is like a bad team. They'll be fine this year. I think. But Penn State loses to only two teams ever, and that's Michigan, Ohio State. They never beat anyone else. It's just what they do, and they beat everybody else. James Franklin's a good coach. He had them prepared. I know you hate it. I know it was hard for you to have to watch there. A lot of bad football being played there at Virginia, but they'll be fine this year, I think. And I don't think they covered either. However, I did accidentally pick them on Godzilla Wins daily picks, so there's also that. So I lost that, even though I didn't pick them on the radio. I got to be a little bit more careful about who I put on the daily picks thing, because I was like, why am I 2-5? It's like, oh yeah, I picked all the opposite teams. So anyway, sorry, Dad. I'm still cheering for West Virginia, but as it turns out, they can't beat Penn State.
Well, I'm looking forward to baseball season. If West Virginia played Penn State 15 times, Penn State would beat them 15 times. That was how bad this was. You saw on the field, Dan, they just weren't big enough. They weren't fast enough. They didn't have the caliber of athletes. And all the hype that we had last season, we had a young team coming back, but that game was never in doubt. And they're just not ready for that type of football. Now, are they going to be competitive in the Big 12? Yeah, Kansas State, these are somewhat competitive games. But if you look at the game as a whole, they don't have the athletes or the weight to stack up with a team like Penn State. And I was wrong about that. So that's number one. Number two is the play calling was dreadful. It was absolutely – they weren't going to win anyway. Maybe they cover. I don't know. They were not going to win that game. But the play calling was abysmal. With that big line and you're driving down the field, you got a 15-play drive and you got a 4th and 1, and he made the right call. Don't kick the field goal. You got to go try to win this game at home. And then you do a tush push against, 4 guys that are 300 pounds each, and 4 guys are 215. This is the way you're going to get that. Utilize your speed to the outside. It was a horrible play call. They had a bunch of those in the game. And look, I like Coach Brown. I like some of the things he's done with his team, but that was an abysmal performance. And that really put the West Virginia football program in perspective. Like, they just don't have the athletes. They're never going to get them there. They don't have enough money to compete now with the big teams spending $22 million. They'll never be able to do that. And so, you become a middle, your best shot now for WVU football is middle of the road, middle of the pack, Big 12 team, make a bowl game, maybe get a win, maybe get the Mayo bath. I think that's about where they're at. But if they play Penn State 15 times, Coach Franklin beat this team 15 times.
All right. Now we're going to NFL. We're just going to keep it in Pennsylvania. We're going to lead off with Steelers Falcons. We wish we had Mitch here this week to talk about it. But, the Steelers are traveling to Atlanta. They're a 3.5-point underdog. Total's around 42, 41.5, depending on where you get it. And, we're getting Mike Tomlin as an underdog here, which is always kind of interesting from a betting perspective. I'll just go ahead and let's lead with Jack here. You're a Falcons guy.
I mean, the Mike Tomlin, and we've talked about this, Dan. I think you've been on the show when we've talked about this before, where it kind of feels like it used to be with Bill Belichick, sort of the same thing. He's an underdog. You just always take him. Vrabel was that way, and then Tomlin. And I just, for the Tomlin underdog stuff, I don't feel necessarily as good about as I used to. Like, maybe Tomlin is good as an underdog. I'm not sure. Russell Wilson is as good as an underdog, so I'm not totally happy about, like, I wouldn't be super psyched to take Pittsburgh in that scenario. I really like Atlanta here, just because there's a lot of energy around this team this year. You got a new quarterback, you got a new coach, a lot of offensive weapons, and a really good defense. So first of all, I like the under. I don't know how much scoring is going to happen. Pittsburgh always has a pretty tough defense, and Atlanta has a good defense. They did last year. I mean, who knows? These things change every year, but I'm assuming that their defense and their secondary is going to be pretty good. So I kind of like the under, and then I'm just going to take Atlanta, mostly for the excitement. I'm an Atlanta guy. Should be a lot of fun. And if they can get this, Dan, if they can get this win and really kind of a statement win here, it should be a good sign going forward, because this is the Falcons. So like Peter said, the Ravens find new and innovative ways to lose. The Falcons like to do the same thing. The Falcons were the lead innovators in how to lose big games up until I think the Ravens took over that maybe the last couple of years, but the Falcons have always been an innovator in how to break your fan base's heart. So you can't be too confident about a Falcons pick ever, but I'm going to take them here. I just don't feel like the Tomlin stuff makes as much sense in this new era without Roethlisberger. It's just a little bit different for me. So I'm pretty safe with the Falcons, and I like the under too.
Just to throw some numbers behind the Tomlin stuff, Tomlin as an underdog is 59, 35, and 4 against the spread, which is 63%, which is gigantic. Since Roethlisberger left, just overall, he's 20, 14, and 1 against the spread, which makes them the most profitable team in the NFL if you just bet them blindly since the departure of Ben Roethlisberger from the team. So they still do cover, but, maybe not at the shocking rate that, Tomlin did with Big Ben.
I mean, 20 and 14, I'd still take that. That's like pretty good edge there.
It's pretty strong. John, this is your new hometown team, the Steelers, near and dear to your heart, playing their games on the radio. What do you think?
Well, yeah, we are. By the way, if you're anywhere in the John Frederick's Radio Network, you can get Steelers football, home Steelers football announcers. So if you're Steelers Nation, any of our stations in our radio network, West Virginia to Atlanta, will be carrying the Steelers. We go on 1 hour before game time with the pregame show. So if you want to catch the Steelers on the radio and get your homers, you can get it there with us on the John Frederick's Media Network. To see if we have a station by you, just go to johnfredericksradio.com. It's up there. This is a tough game. I think this is one of the toughest games on the card. I like Atlanta. I like them as a team. I like their new coach. I like their quarterback. I like their defense. I like their running game. I like everything about them. But 3.5, betting against Tomlin as an underdog with that record he's got, and now we don't know if Wilson's going to play. See, I think I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a fan. So I think the fact that he's not going to play is a reason why I'm going to lay off this game, because I think Fields is a better quarterback. And I've said on the show from the beginning, you're not going to get through game 6 without Fields being the quarterback. He's simply a better quarterback than this old guy who's got nothing. I mean, he's got nothing. So let's get the Fields era started with the Steelers. Let's get that offense going. I think maybe he starts this game, maybe he doesn't. So you got that going on. So I like the Falcons. I don't like laying 3.5. I have no pick in this game, but I 3.5. Tomlin, you know he's going to be in this game. This is not going to be a blowout. So this is going to come down to another who kicks a field goal at the end to cover. So if I had to bet the game, I take the 3.5. But that doesn't diminish my enthusiasm for Atlanta football this season. But if I had to make a pick, I take the 3.5 with Tomlin as an underdog.
Dan, what do you think here?
Steelers past 7 openers have all seen 42 points or less. I'm taking the under.
Yes. All right. Under guy. I was just about to give my pick, which is one of my only picks for this weekend, which is I like the under too. I like Tomlin road unders. You can't expect a ton from Russ, I don't think, at this point to just blow a game apart. So I also.
Hey, Nate, can I ask a question of you guys that are betting the under? Are you at all concerned with betting under with the new rule where you get the ball on the 30? I mean, basically, you get like 3 first downs, you get a field goal. I mean, I don't like this rule. I think the ball should be back on the 20, but like I could live with the 25. But like now you get the ball on the 30-yard line. It's like 2 passes, you're in field goal range. I don't know why the NFL did that. Ann asked me why. I've said it's probably for fans like yourself that really, are casual football fans that watch football games with me and want to see scoring, I guess. But does that affect the under, the fact that they're now getting the ball on the 30? Each team gets the ball, 6 times? That's 30 yards. I mean, that's a lot of scrimmage. What do you guys think of that?
I don't know if we've had enough sort of games to be able to make it.
Didn't make a difference in the USFL.
Yeah.
So it's the same rule there, and it didn't make a difference there. The scores were still fairly reasonable, so I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference here.
Well, why not put the ball on the 50? I mean, why the 30-yard line? Like who?
Yeah, look,
what do these guys in New York just sit around and come?
Somebody like Justin Tucker is immediately in range at the 50, John.
yeah. Except for Thursday night. Geez.
First down.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that I thought you were just going to complain about how you hate taking over-unders. So I'm glad you actually asked a question that had some merit to it and not I can't believe you guys play the under. So a little bit of evolution in your radio personality here. So I say props to that.
Yeah, dialed in today. Welcoming Darian Kelly to the show. DK, how you doing this morning?
What's up, DK?
I'm doing well. How's everything going, guys? Had a little bit of connection issues, but we're back. We're good.
We're back. All right, we're talking
talk some football.
We're talking Steelers. We're talking Steelers Falcons. You got a pick for this game? You got anything you're looking at?
I'm gonna lean towards the Steelers here. I think that I know that in the preseason, the Steelers O-line was a bit shaky, but I'm leaning towards Steelers. I think that Russell Wilson is gonna put his best foot forward. I love the outside perimeter guys that the Steelers have as well. So I'm going to lean towards the Steelers in this matchup.
Yeah. Tomlin as a dog is always good. John, tell us a little bit about Beard Vet before we get too deep into these games.
Well, I had to take my break and get my Beard Vet coffee. It's a people's coffee. If you love Beard Vet coffee, me and Jack got our Astros cups here, right? Good to go. Going to get to another ACLs. Win the World Series. I got 18-1. Hey, I love my Beard Vets, a people's coffee. You can get the pods. Now what I'm doing is on the weekends I brew. I'm like Mr. Beard Vet Coffee, brew on the weekends. Put that pot on. You just pour it in. I don't have to put in the K-cups like I do at 4 a.m. This thing is the best thing you're going to get. Go to beardvet.com, beardvet.com. Get promo code Godzilla. It's the people's coffee. Why? Because they price it for average working stiffs like us. You know what? You go to some of these other premium coffees. Ever try to go to Starbucks? I don't have $15 for a latte, right? I'm a working guy. I just don't have that. Beard Vet, though, best goes to People's Coffee. Plus, it's great. Smooth as silk. All you got to do is go to beardvet.com. Just going there, it's fun to just go to the site. It's a fun site. Go to beardvet.com, promo code Godzilla. You're going to get 10% off now. You buy a couple bags, over $50, free shipping. So you're going to get great coffee at a great price. What else is better? Plus, they've been a founding sponsor of Godzilla Wins. Founding. First day, Beard Vet right here. I love their coffee. Go to beardvet.com. Promo code Godzilla, 10% off. Join the People's Coffee Revolution at beardvet.com.
All right, beardvet.com. Okay, we're moving right along, and we're going to stay with John's favorite teams. We front-loaded the schedule with everything that John loves. Steelers, and now Titans, Bears. This is the first time that Chicago, I guess, hasn't been favored. Now I'm reading this wrong. It's a big favor for Chicago. Big sort of expectations with Caleb Williams, obviously. Sort of lower expectations on the Titans as we wait to see what Will Levis has got in the tank. John, how are you feeling about the Titans in week one? How are you feeling about the Titans just at large?
I love this game. I am so fired up about this first game. I can't remember the last time I was so excited about a first game of the Titans because we're under everybody's radar screen. Everybody thinks we suck. That's fine. That's right. I like when you think we suck. That's fine. We don't suck, right? Maybe we're not that good, but we don't suck. This is a pretty good football team. It's going to shock a lot of people. I love the fact that we're going into Chicago. I love the fact that I'm getting 3.5. I love the fact that this is Caleb Williams' first game. I love our defense. So I think the Titans are going to win this game outright. I love them as an underdog. I'm taking a 3.5. Will Levis is better than anybody gives him credit for. I bet Titans to win on the win total over 6.5. I think they're going to win 8-9 games. I think I shot to win the division. Now, we're so excited about this game that Joe is actually driving back home tonight after baseball so we can see the game, and then he has to go back for a team meeting at 5. So he's just about going to make it. So we're fired up. I love the Titans. It's a much better football team than anybody thinks it is. And next week, when you talk to me, here's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be in Nashville for the game against the Jets. First home opener. So I think we go 2-0. I'm pumped. But I love the Titans tomorrow, plus 3.5.
Okay. That was delusional at times, but I appreciate it. The stat that I was trying to spit out and then started stumbling over my words was that Chicago hasn't been this big of a favorite since 2014 in week one. So it's the hype train is officially here. Caleb Williams, everyone's loving it. Darian, what do you think about this game? Are you on the Caleb Williams hype train?
I am on the Caleb Williams hype train. He's actually, my pick to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that the Bears have a lot, on offense. I'm not a big fan of the Titans. I think it's the retirement home of the NFL. Just a bunch of old guys, back on the back nine of their careers. So I think that the offensive firepower the Bears are bringing in, and I don't. You can't take enough credit away from the Bears defense as well, especially the season that towards the end of the last year and the season that they had. So yeah, I'm leaning more Bears on this one.
Bears. Dan, what's your pick here? You're muted there, Dan.
All right. Sorry about that. The thing about the Bears defense is they don't get to the quarterback very well. So Levis is going to have a lot of time to make decisions. And I think that Tennessee's defense is a little bit too aggressive, which is going to lead to some shot plays for Chicago. So I'm taking the over.
Liking the over here. All right. Let's move on to another game here. We got Pats Bengals. One of these teams we're not expecting a ton from. I don't think that anyone is sitting here, counting their money with any sort of meaningful New England Patriots futures. They look like they're probably going to be cellar dwellers in the AFC East. Some high hopes for the Bengals. Dan, what are you looking to see out of this game?
Cincinnati's got to come out and make a statement here. I mean,
they do, right?
Yeah, the Bengals, they have the talent. They just couldn't put it together because of injuries last season. And I think that this team, when everything is clicking, is still the best team in the AFC. Like, I know that Kansas City gets all the hype, but I mean, like, I'm sorry, that AFC Championship game, that was a totally bogus call that lifted the Chiefs to victory. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has still never legitimately beaten Joe Burrow in Arrowhead. And I think Cincinnati comes out, makes a statement against a really bad Patriots team. I am expecting New England to be a contender for the number 1 draft pick. This looks like the Rod Russ days. How's that for a reference, John? So, yeah.
Love it.
I think that this is one-way traffic here for Cincinnati.
That is classic Godzilla right there. Coming with Rod Russ. It was that night, 1972, when they still had the other emblem on the
that was 1990 when they went 1-15, and yes, they did still have the Patriot logo.
They still have the old Patriot logo on their helmet back then, and but they've had some doozy coaches. I'm with Dan on this. I think the Bengals are one of the most underrated teams this season. I'm with you 100%. They should have beat Kansas City last season. And this Patriots, this is a dumpster fire beyond belief. I mean, they might go 1-15. They are getting the first round draft pick. I mean, they're just weaknesses all over both sides of the ball. And as far as DK's analysis here of my Titans, let me refer you back, young fella. Let me refer you back to the Washington Redskins, George Allen, and the Over the Hill gang when he put together a bunch of end-of-their-career NFL players, took them to the Super Bowl with Billy Kilmer because Sonny Jurgensen was hurt, and came within one pass of upsetting Miami in their undefeated season. Kilmer came within one complete pass of doing that. Just saying, these old guys, sometimes they come, they gel. This is going to be the Over the Hill gang. Memory lane, baby.
Jack, so the Bengals have been slow starters in recent years. There is a little bit of uncertainty with Jamar Chase. He's, questionable to start the game. He's in the midst of some contract negotiations to secure his bag, as it were. Are you worried about a little bit of a slow start? I mean, once it starts creeping past a touchdown in the NFL, I mean, anything can happen. How are you feeling about this game?
The Patriots were 7-9-1 ATS last year. I mean, I know Belichick was the coach and everything, but as bad as they were, they still managed to cover 7 games. That's the NFL for you. I like the under. Over last year, the Pats hit only 7 of those games. They finished with the 31st worst offense. I don't see any reason why all of a sudden their offense is going to be amazing after some adjustments this season. So I'm just leaning under here. I know the point total is not very high, but I think it's going to take more than a week or two for the Patriots to figure out how to score. And then with the Jamar Chase stuff, I don't know if the Bengals are going to put up 35 points, regardless of if they're trying to make a statement or not. So I like the under in this one.
Liking the under. DK, how are you feeling about this? Darian. All right. We look like we might have some tech issues on Darian. So let's just move it along then. We'll just keep rocking along. We'll go Jags Dolphins. Two team. We got an all Florida matchup here. Jags Dolphins. Jack, you lead on Jags Dolphins.
Okay, yeah, oh my God, nobody loves the Jags like I do. Tell me the spread though, because I'm having trouble getting it up.
-3, Miami -3 in Miami.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the thing. So always early in the season with the Dolphins, I'm always like, oh, okay, well, it's hot in Miami, so always take the Dolphins at home. But it's not like Jacksonville plays in the Arctic. There, they should be able to deal with the humidity and the heat. And I always like the Jags, man. I mean, I just last year I liked them. I picked them all the time. They didn't really pan out like they did the year before or whatever. But I still like the Jags. I think that they can at least stay pretty close. And like I said this on the show before, I just feel like this is like the do or die year for Miami. So if Miami comes out and just blows the doors off Jacksonville, I'll be singing a different tune next week. But I kind of am feeling like maybe Miami missed their window and we might start to see them slip a little bit. So I'm going to go with the Jags +3.
Jags +3. I kind of like, so I got Miami -3, -120. And I think it's a good bet. I'm always drinking the Kool-Aid for Mike McDonald early in the season, it seems like they always just rip off about 6 really awesome offensive performances before the league sort of figures out whatever tweaks he's sort of incorporated into the offense, and defensive coordinators start adjusting. But there always seems to be this huge burst for Miami early in the season, and I feel like, if there's a time to bet Miami, it's probably now against a Jacksonville team that I don't think is very good. To be quite honest, and I'm sort of interested to see what kind of wrinkles Miami's sort of worked in. Obviously Tyreek Hill, obviously Jalen Waddle, Devon Kane now. Like, there's just a lot of weapons that I think will be interesting that he'll sort of use effectively, at least to begin the season, before people start to sort of figure it out.
I think
John?
that's great. I think I got to compliment you on that. That is great analysis. Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great analysis. Very
Dan,
good.
what do you think about this game?
I mean, this is going to be a tough one to pick. I mean, Jacksonville's got a couple injuries. I think Calvin Ridley is out, so I think I might lean toward the over, just because I don't love Jacksonville's secondary. I think that the Jaguars' offense might slip a little bit, but Ingram is still a solid target, and Lawrence did look pretty good working with him in the preseason. And then you've got Miami's receivers, Hill and Waddle. I mean, and both quarterbacks really need to make a statement here. I mean, like, Tua feeling the pressure of expectations. Lawrence is feeling the same thing in Jacksonville. So I think that this is one where the offenses are ahead of the defenses. So I expect points.
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable. Darian?
Yeah, I'm going to lean Dolphins here. I think that as far as the offensive firepower that they bring, and you think to the Jaguars, just looking up the stats now, they're bringing back essentially most of their offensive line that ranked 29th in pass block. So I think that they're going to put a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence specifically. I think it's going to be a mess. They're forecasting a lot of rain in Miami, so I think it's not going to air, or it's not going to be a good outing for Trevor Lawrence as far as throwing the ball. I'm going to lean Dolphins.
Lean Dolphins. John, why do you like Miami here?
Well, the same reasons that you said. I love him at home. I love him early. I'm not a fan of their coach, but he gets his team ready early. There's no question about that. They always get off the flying starts, and I just liked him at home. I'm going to lay the 3. The Dolphins' offense is something else. Hey, one thing I'm going to comment on, which is kind of interesting, is you look at the whole card this week, right? The biggest favorite is Cincinnati minus 7.5. Second biggest favorite, Buffalo minus 6.5. All these games, 2, 3, 1, 2.5, 1.5. I don't think I've ever seen that in the NFL. Normally got somebody 10, 12, 13, 11, 9. But biggest lay here is 7.5 in the Bengals. Is that, have we let me just throw this out and then we'll go on. Have we reached now true parity in the NFL? Is this it?
I mean, it seems like we're getting pretty close. I mean, there's obviously the haves and have-nots still, but I mean, I think just on a game-to-game basis, the way it's being played, I mean, gosh, it seems like every game comes down to last possession, especially as it regards a cover. I mean, we've seen that already twice. It came down basically to the end. So I think so. Yeah.
The spreads are always kind of small the first couple weeks of the season. They get a little bit bigger as some teams just implode. Like, we just don't know how good some of these teams are. We don't know how bad some of these teams are. So I feel like I usually see this, week like 1, 2, 3, where it's pretty small. We should start to see some bigger spreads once we realize, this team sucks. Whatever. But I think the first couple weeks of the season, usually the spread's really small, kind of like the opposite of the college, since they all play teams that aren't so good
Right.
Early in the season. You see kind of the opposite happen, but that's just my own I don't, that's just anecdote. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know if there's any statistics to back that up.
Native path time, Jack, take it away.
Native
Who
path.
needs
Well, got it.
statistics?
Yeah, not you, Dad. You don't need statistics. I'll tell you one statistic I love is 44% off from Native Path. That's my favorite statistic right there. So what you got to do is you got to go, and we talked about Native Path earlier, but you got to love Native Path. Look, this is just incredible stuff. Native Path collagen powder is what we're talking about here. It's Native Path's #1 product, over 4 million jars sold, top single ingredient collagen powder on the market, and backed by science to support healthy bones, improve joint pain, boost skin elasticity, minimize deep wrinkles, support healthy hair, and more. There's this cat that I do this show outside, so I don't bother really anybody, even outside. I don't think the neighbors can hear me too much. But this cat, there's like a stray cat that wanders by, and I sometimes think the cat could use some collagen powder. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know if cats are allowed to have collagen powder. Of course, I would never give a stray animal, anything really. But it's looking a little rough. So hoping.
Do you feed it? Go feed the cat.
No, well, I'm doing the show. I'm not going to get up and open a can of tuna while you guys are talking. Like, what are you talking about? So otherwise, I don't ever really see the cat since I'm never up out here really this early. But so look, go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Getnativepath.com/Godzilla. It's just a landing page. You just go there, you scroll up a little bit, you'll hit that, and you get 44% off plus free shipping plus the frother. So it's a pretty incredible deal. Go ahead and go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Grab that collagen powder. You will not be disappointed. It's a great product.
All right, so we're a little bit behind on time. We have a lot of games to get through still. So I just want to go around the horn for what I consider to be one of the games that probably not a lot of people are watching unless they are diehard Giants fan and they are just sinking on the ship that Daniel Jones has put a giant hole in, or if they're just Miami or Minnesota Vikings fans that are just waiting for next season already after JJ McCarthy got injured. So let's just go around the horn, 30 seconds or less. If you have a pick, tell it. If you just have some sort of narrative anecdote about how bad two of these teams are going to be this year, you can share that as well. We'll start with John.
Who gives a rat's ass? Move on. I could kill us about this game. You got one team without a quarterback. You got the other team with a quarterback that's not a quarterback. I mean, playing in the Meadowlands. You got Jimmy Hoffa's bones are down there. That place is a mess. This has got to be the worst game on the card. I have no pick, no interest.
Dan?
I mean, give me the under. I mean, Daniel Jones has shown he's not moving the ball, and Minnesota's breaking in a new quarterback. That screams under to me, especially when it's over 40. Yeah, I like the under here.
Darian?
Fading the Giants. I'm taking the Vikings here. I don't trust Daniel Jones with two good knees or one good knee. I'm going with the Vikings here.
Oh, that's brutal, DK. I mean, when you're fading the Giants over Daniel Jones against a quarterback that's nobody heard of, that's
Isn't that Sam Darnold
for you Giants?
Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
for the
Sam
Vikings.
Darnold.
Yeah.
Well, it's Sam
So
Darnold.
I've been sending Jack
Freaking Sam
videos
Darnold's
of
horrible. I mean, this guy, no matter where he's gone, he's lost games in the NFL. He's their quarterback. I mean, but when you're fading Daniel Jones over Sam Darnold,
Panthers, Patrick Mahomes would struggle to be 500 with those dumpster fires. Well, maybe the Jets because they have a defense now, but the Panthers.
DK, I think you talked me into the
there.
Vikings. DK, I think you just talked me into the Vikings. What's the spread here? -1.5. DK just convinced me to bet the Vikings.
I think so. I've been sending Jack videos of wide receivers for the Giants working with a jugs machine that has like the accuracy turned down to like the level of a toddler flinging a football 20 yards. And it's just like it's them just like chasing like wobbly ducks out of a jugs machine because that's sort of what they're anticipating from Daniel Jones on a week-to-week basis.
And yet they gave him an extension.
And they gave him so much money. Jack, do you have any quick thoughts on this game?
I set the under at 17, so I'm going to take the under here. I'm not totally sure that we're going to hit the. I mean, Dan, I'm surprised it's in the 40s as well, but we'll see.
Yeah, feels like we're talking about Iowa State here.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Tim Walls, going with the under.
I sort of like if you're just looking at props, I've sort of been staring hard at Daniel Jones's rushing props over.
What
Instead
are
of like
Daniel
28.5, it's basically the only thing he can do fairly effectively is just sort of
Nate, what are
scramble
Daniel
out.
Jones' interception props?
Oh, we should look at those too. We can wonder about those. Yeah, maybe Daniel Jones to throw an interception. It's probably like over 1 -1.
Probably like -205.
Yeah, over a half -205. So okay, let's just get to a different game. This is a more interesting game. So Raiders Chargers. The narrative behind the Chargers is, we're all kind of interested to see what Jim Harbaugh is going to do. He always does something interesting. He always does something, make him look fairly successful. Totals a reasonable 42-ish. I mean, this is a big year for both these coaches. It's Antonio Pierce's first sort of year at the helm as the undisputed head coach, not the interim. So we got a battle of two sort of coaches trying to figure out the identities of their teams. Which one will win? I guess we'll lead with Darian here. Darian, give us your picks on this game.
Yeah, this is an interesting game, but I'll lean towards Chargers just because I think that they have not that I think, but I know that they have a better quarterback. I think that this is going to be a cagey type of a game. You have they're going to be running the ball. I think two teams are going to be running the ball. I don't really trust Gardner Minshew, as the Raiders quarterback, and it's a lot of hype surrounding John Harbaugh. I think that he pulls this one. The Chargers pull this one out this Sunday, and I'm leaning towards Justin Herbert. Just being a better quarterback, having better quarterback play out there than Gardner Minshew.
Jack,
Gardner Minshew has like just an incredible PR team. It's like the Kremlin. I mean,
yeah,
it's just like,
they'd have you think that he's a good quarterback.
yeah, I mean it's Milton Friedman used to say you something like you inundate people until it's inevitable basically. That's a real misquote, but there's something about inevitability with Milton Friedman in the 60s. I'll look it up and give you the quote in a minute, but that's the way it feels now. Like I'm now taking for granted the idea that Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback because of his PR team. I think DK's right here. Just go with the better quarterback. We know Herbert's a good one. Minus 3.5 doesn't feel too bad.
John?
It just went, as we're talking, it just went down to 3 on DraftKings. So look, go to DraftKings.com, download their free app, bet $5, get $250 in free bets. Do it now. It just went down to 3. So I just bet the Chargers as it went down. Look, Harbaugh's first game. He's at home. I love the Bolts here. I mean, I just can't get excited about Gardner Minshew. He's been on 15 teams. I mean, what team hasn't he been on, right? What, the Dallas? I mean, he's been on every single NFL team imaginable. But Jack's right. He's got a PR. It's all joy, right? It's like joy and vibes, but like there's no performance. So it's kind of like the Kamala Harris thing he's got going on, or whatever the hell her name is. So I like the Chargers here minus 3, and I'm gonna go with that. The Harbaugh's at home. I mean, he drafted the offensive lineman that we wanted. Instead, the Titans got the fat guy. So hey, by the way, if you didn't know this, the Titans 1-2. Drafted the 2 fattest guys in the history of the NFL back-to-back ever. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. One thing we know about Titans, we got a lot of meat going on there. 2 biggest fat guys ever. I like the Chargers here minus the 3.
Dan, what do you think about Jim Harbaugh's rebuild in LA?
Ride the home team here. I mean, since some fans have been allowed back in the stands, the Chargers have never won in Las Vegas. The Raiders have never won in Los Angeles, and the home team has covered all 6 matchups since fans returned after the pandemic. So ride the Chargers.
All right, we got Broncos Seahawks. The Seahawks are a little bit of a favorite. The Seahawks are probably like my favorite team from just a futures perspective. This season, I'm pretty high on the Seahawks. I like them so much that I accidentally called Miami's coach Mike McDonald, because all I've been thinking about is Seattle's head coach Mike Macdonald for the last 2 weeks. I feel like they have the perfect sort of offensive coordinator. I feel like, Geno Smith's going to have another sort of breakout season with Grubb as his OC, dialing up deep balls. There's nothing that Geno does better than throw deep balls. He's got 3 really great wide receivers to receive them. I feel like there's going to be exciting things in Seattle, and they're going to be a sneaky NFC pick. Of course, all that's probably wrong. We'll just lead with John here. Do you have any thoughts on the Broncos Seahawks game?
I can't lay 6. You just don't know how bad the Broncos are. You don't know how good Seattle is. This is a dangerous game. This is one of these games. Ever look at a spread and you look at it, you say, whoever I pick's going to lose. Right? That's kind of what this game is here. I don't know how good Seattle is. I don't know how bad Denver is. I don't like 6. I don't like Geno Smith laying 6. If this game was, pick 'em, yeah, I bet Geno Smith. I don't like laying the 6. We don't really know about this Denver team. Do they have a good defense? They came out last season. Now they got a new quarterback. Everything is. We don't know. So I'm gonna pass on this game. I don't like the over under. I don't like anything about it. Pass.
I've been staring hard at the alternate spreads. I was thinking 6 wasn't enough, and maybe I just take little extra vig on the -9.5, -13.5.
Could be.
Maybe -7, maybe -16.5. Get a little spicy with it. So, Dan, am I wrong to be optimistic about Seattle?
The mystique is gone from the Seattle Stadium. The Seahawks last year they had only 2 games where they won at home by more than 3 points, and they were Arizona and Carolina. Everyone else was either a loss or a 3-point victory. And I really like Bo Nix. So
okay.
I think Denver covers, and Denver might win this game outright.
Wow. All right. DK, where are you at on this game?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Denver. I think that Bo Nix is going to have a strong showing. I'm not really rushing the later points. But at the same time, I'm leaning towards more so Sean Payton and Bo Nix having a really good outing. I think that this is Sean Payton's quarterback, and I think that that's going to make a difference, particularly in this game. It's going to be tough though, given that, Seattle has, Mike McDonald, Reek Woolen, a lot of those key defensive pieces, but I think Sean Payton will have something dialed up for him.
Wow. I've been having this conversation about Seattle just in a quiet room with myself, and now I'm getting some dissenting opinions, and it's making me nervous. Jack, what do you think about this game?
A couple points of clarity. First off, that Milton Friedman quote is when the politically impossible becomes the politically inevitable. So that's the quote. Second point of contention here is her name dad is Vice President Harris, and in November you're going to be calling her Madam President when your Titans are 2-8. Seahawks, I'm taking the Seahawks.
You know what? All you libtards, dream on,
Let's
right?
Go.
Cut his mic.
Cut his mic.
Cut his mic.
You guys are just insufferable. Okay, Trump's going to win. I'm going to be at the White House. Catch me on TV.
Here. We should just be muting this.
He started it. You're the host. Mute him. Oh, I can't mute him. He's my boss. Whatever.
Well, I would mute you if I could. I just don't have that power. All right. Anyways, everyone's feeling fired up. I feel like they're a little bit fired up because they're just taking grotesque amounts of Healthy Cell lately. Why don't you give us a live read on Healthy Cell? Is that why I chose to pass on Penn State?
I'll do the live read. Yeah, REM sleep. Look, man, I mean, it is sometimes a grotesque amount. The amount of REM sleep that the Fredericks family is on, you'd be surprised any of us ever get up in the morning.
We should own the company.
Yeah, we really should. I can't believe we don't.
Just tempering that manic energy.
Yeah, everybody in the Fredericks family is like trying to slow down a little REM sleep, but it is an incredible product. So you go to healthycell.com, www.healthycell.com. Go find that REM sleep, get you into that deep third REM sleep, which is really important for all sorts of reasons. You need the deep sleep, like Dad says all the time, to be, on a serious note, he has to get up really early. So he needs to be able to get to that third REM sleep so he can be fresh as a daisy, as he likes to say, for his show. So you go to www.healthycell.com. Find the REM sleep product, which is pretty incredible. You get 20% off with the promo code Godzilla. So go ahead and do that now.
Okay. All right. We got a team that's near and dear formerly to my heart. Even as I transition over to being a Houston Texans fan, I'll always have a small place for the Dallas Cowboys, who are sort of surprisingly to me a 2.5-point underdog traveling to Cleveland to play the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have been sort of, I think, a little bit of a metrics darling for a lot of people for a few years. The defense is probably the best in the league. And everyone's just sort of thought if Deshaun Watson can ever just stop being a creep and get his shoulder healthy, they might be good. What do we think about this game? Dan, I'll let you lead on this.
Oh, boy. I mean, you nailed it. The metrics saw him say that Cleveland had the best defense in the league, and it's just so hard to trust Dallas with McCarthy. In the memory of what happened against Green Bay still fresh in everyone's minds. I'm going to go Browns money line here. I don't love the spread. I don't love either team, but Cleveland's defense is legitimate, so I'll reluctantly ride the Browns, but I wouldn't put much on
Yeah,
it.
I'm sort of bullish on the Browns myself this year. I think that, you know, if Deshaun Watson can figure out this shoulder injury, which still seems to be lingering, you know, they can be a real team, and I think they can probably beat anybody with that defense and the sort of weapons they have around him. Jack, what do you think?
What's the spread? I can't pull it up.
2.5.
2.5. 2.5.
Cowboys?
Yeah,
No,
no.
Browns are minus 2.5.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Thank you. So I mean, the problem with Dallas is they usually are pretty good during the season, and usually early on in the season they're good enough for me to want to take a 2.5 point spread. I mean, I like Cleveland, but I just the Green Bay stuff is fresh in everybody's mind. But I don't know. Dallas is like great until the playoffs, and they suck. So I'm just going to go Dallas plus 2.5.
Dallas plus 2.5. John?
I can't bet on the creep, and whoever called him creepy, he is creepy. The quarterback for the Browns is just a creepy dude. I just don't want anything to do with him. You look at this game against Green Bay last season where Jerry Jones cried on national TV, and I got it. He bawled like a little child. Like, meh. I mean, it was a sad state of affairs for Cowboys fans when your owner, who's in control of the team, cries on national TV when Jordan Love, who looked like crap yesterday or last night, drops a 50 on him at home. This got to be stinging. Hey, McCarthy, are you ever going to, what's the deal with McCarthy? What's the deal here with Dallas? You're going to Cleveland. You just came off that disaster. It was a debacle at home against the Packers. You had all season to think about it. Now you're going to playing this creepy guy in Cleveland. I mean, I gotta go with Dallas here. At some point, McCarthy's got to start winning these games. Maybe it starts this week. I don't know. If I were to bet this game based on your stats, by the way, I don't need no stinking stats. If you guys were to bet this game on stats, you'd bet the Browns. But the Cowboys are going in there. They've got to come up with a good game. Could you imagine if they get blown out? Oh my God. Could you imagine the narrative that's going to go on in the press in Dallas Nation? Cowboys Nation is going to be god awful. I think the Cowboys go and steal this game.
As a former Cowboy fan, I can imagine what it would feel like, and it would be awesome because maybe Mike McCarthy finally gets fired, and that would be like a breath of fresh air. So I would love for them to get blown out. DK, what do you think about the Browns-Cowboys game?
I like it's like I gotta lean towards the Browns here. I think that there's so many question marks with the Dallas Cowboys, specifically on the offensive line. I really like the under here. I'm not sure what let me just double check on the under here. Yeah, I don't think that Dallas is going to be able to put up the points. I think that the Browns are, the Browns defense is coming off an unbelievable season last year, and I think that they're going to be amazing. They're going to dominate on that Cowboys O-line.
All right. So we got some picks there. Let's get to the Commanders. We got Jaden Daniels' debut in the NFL. We got Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield running it back again, trying to reclaim some relevancy in the NFL. Tampa Bay is a 3.5-point favorite at home over the Commanders. Darian, what do you think about this?
Yeah,
are you excited?
Commanders? I'm excited. I'm actually excited for the Commanders. I'm actually, you know what? I think that I'm going to lean Commanders here. I believe is that the spread is at 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, I like the
plus 3.5.
Yeah, I like the plus 3.5. Yeah, I like the Commanders here as underdogs. I think that Jaden Daniels is going to have an unbelievable season. That offense has a lot of pieces, so it's going to be interesting to see how they fare up against the Buccaneers. But I like Jaden and the Commanders in this game.
John,
what a sad state of affairs in Maryland. What a sad franchise. What a bunch of sad sacks. Another scandal. Man, where do they find these guys? Where do they hire these guys? I mean, it's one problem after the next in this organization. They got new ownership. We thought, okay, this is behind us. By the way, Nate, great hat. We thought this was behind us. We thought this was the end of the. Now they have to fire another guy making stupid comments. I mean, what is this? This is a sick franchise. It's sick. Like you got to put a thermometer in it. It's like 104 hospital. It's a sick franchise. I can't even watch this team. It's so pathetic what is going on there. You would have thought that after everything that happened with Snyder, you get new owners in, you fire Allen, and you fire all these people. You would have you fire the coach from Carolina, Gambler, whatever his name is,
Ron Rivera.
Riverboat Ron. You think you're going to clean house now. You're going to. I don't care if you win 2 games. Fix the franchise. Your stadium is a disaster. You can't get to Maryland. FedEx Field is horrible. You can't park. You got to walk 5 miles. Everything about this franchise is a disaster. You changed the name. That was stupid. Nobody wanted it. And now you get another scandal a week before the season starts. I have no comment on this game other than this is a sick franchise. I don't want to touch it. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't know what they're going to do, but whatever they're doing now, it's a disaster.
I don't know. I feel like I'm more optimistic about Washington than John is. Dan, how do you feel about it?
Against most teams, I would think Washington was in a pretty good spot, but not against this some blitzing Tampa Bay defense. Todd Bowles is going to put a lot of pressure on Jaden Daniels, and it's his first game in the NFL. He's not ready to make those reads yet. I think that this is the wrong opponent for the Commanders to be opening up with, so I'm going to take the Bucs to cover.
Take the Bucs. All right. Probably the biggest game on the schedule is the Sunday night game, or the Monday night game. Jets, Niners. This might be all we have time for today, so we'll just kind of close with this probably. 49ers are a minus 4.5 point favorite. Jets are a 4.5 point underdog. Totals at 43.5. The return of Aaron Rodgers. The Niners, perennially sort of second best, third best in the league. Exciting time for Jets fans, exciting time for Niners fans. They try and sort of break through. I guess, Dan, what are you looking at in this game?
The inevitable crash for the Jets, some fans' expectations. It just seems like
don't do it to me yet.
It just seems like it's going to happen. Aaron Rodgers seems intent on following Brett Favre's career path to the letter. And this is the second season. I think that this is where Rodgers' body starts to fail him. And hard to say that after he snapped his ACL last year. But I think his body starts to fail him in terms of performance on the field. And the Jets end up under 500. I'm riding with San Francisco.
Oh, God.
I've been fairly optimistic about Rodgers having a great season, so that makes me sad to hear, Dan, that you feel
I could be totally off base.
Usually not, though, and that's kind of the problem. Darian, what do you think about this game?
I'm a little more optimistic. I'm going to lean Jets here.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
I think that I just think that I think that offensively, of course, the 49ers are going to have that firepower, but that Jets defense is, you could make the argument. It's one of the top defenses in the league. Sure. And the 49ers struggled really poorly against the run last year. They ranked 20th in early down rushing success as far as rate allowed. And I think Breece Hall is going to have an amazing game. I think that he's going to be running the ball a lot and kind of take some pressure off for Aaron Rodgers in that throwing game. But yeah, I'm optimistic with the Jets here.
John?
This is my best bet of the week, baby. Jets. I love the Jets in this game. I think they're going to win the whole game, so I'm certainly taking 4.5. This is Aaron Rodgers. He's waited all season for this. Remember last Monday night he got hurt on the second play, right? Memories of that. Darian nailed it. This team's got the best defense in the NFL. They just didn't have anybody to move the football. Now they put an offense together. They're going to San Francisco. The flight doesn't matter because there was no game last week. It's their first game. They had a week off after the preseason. The Jets are going to be focused here. I love the Jets in this game. And look, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I think they can beat Kansas City. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a banner season. But that defense, man, I love watching this defense. And remember, all last season, they were playing, out of a 60-minute game, they were on the field 45 minutes a game, sometimes 50 minutes. They had no offense. This is going to be very different. They're going to score. They got a defense. I love the Jets in this game. Jets, baby. Go to San Francisco. Get that win. Let's get back home. Go Jets.
Yeah, I've been fairly optimistic about the Jets, and I guess I'll spend a couple of seconds talking about it. I just have been looking at lines. I don't have access now that I live in Texas, but I've just been staring at it thinking like, gosh, 20-1 for MVP for Aaron Rodgers seems long.
Take it.
If he can be healthy, if he can make it through the season, he's never really had a bad season, in that I can remember in recent memory, even the sort of 2022 season where he sort of had a broken thumb on his throwing hand. So, I just think that, if the Jets, if we believe this narrative and we drink the Kool-Aid of they were just a quarterback away last season.
Drink it.
I'm sort of there with you. So
Drink it, baby.
I'm all in on the Jets. I think, they have a real chance at making a Super Bowl run. I think that Aaron Rodgers could put up maybe one last MVP season. And that is our show for today. Thank you, Darian Kelly, for joining us in the second half. Be sure and find him on social media, DK Sports. Dan Angel, writer extraordinaire, writing up all the good college games. John Fredericks, the leader of the Godzilla Wins movement, and myself, Nate Perry, hosting.
It's a movement.
Next week
It's a movement, Nate.
where we're
It's
right,
a
where we're
movement.
wrong.
It's a movement.
It's a movement.
Plus,
Thanks.